Today I'm going to disassemble and clean this very dirty Glock magazine. I'm going to go ahead and open this up, make sure there's no crud inside, and clean it up. Glock magazines are notoriously difficult to get the base plate off. Most other magazines, you just press the pin on the bottom and you slide the base plate right off. But the Glock has these little ears that fit in this notch of the base plate here. So you can't just push it right off. These ears on both sides get in the way. So it's a little trickier to get these off, so I'm going to show you how to do that. So what we're going to need to disassemble and clean the Glock magazine, we're going to need a brush. I just got some cut up t-shirts here, cotton t-shirts. I'm going to use a CLP. I like to use original gun oil. Original gun oil is owned by a veteran, so I like to support the veterans, and it is non-toxic and non-staining, so that's my favorite gun oil to use on all my guns. To get the Glock magazine apart, you're going to need, ideally, a Glock Magazine tool like this, and these are pretty cheap. I'll link them down in the description below. The Glock manual does not have any information on how to disassemble and clean the magazine, probably because it's a little bit difficult, but I'm going to show you how to do it. If you don't have one of these, a punch will work. It's a little trickier with the punch. You can mess up your magazine if you don't get it right with the punch. Please be warned that you're doing this at your own risk. You can try with the punch. I'm going to show you how to do it. It's not hard if you do it right. The tool here is a much better option. You're not going to risk messing up your magazine using this tool. First thing I'm going to do is just wipe this thing down, get it moderately clean to work with. Okay, so to use the tool, get your eye protection on. So this is real easy. You just push the pin in the hole in the bottom here, press it down like that. Make sure this is lined up straight on the magazine, and we're just going to press down in this direction, kind of like scissors. Make sure that's seated, and it pulls it right off like that. So once you get it that far, put your thumb over here so the spring doesn't pop out, and then you can pull this off, and then now release up on the floor plate here, comes right up, and then the spring comes out, and you just pull everything out. Here's the follower. You can take that off if you want, and now your magazine tube is empty. All right, if you don't have one of these tools, I highly recommend getting one of these, or you can get these for less than 10 bucks. If you don't have that, you want to get a punch. The punch part of this is just about 1 inch long, and it's a 5/32 in diameter. Those measurements are pretty important. So if you use something a lot smaller, a lot bigger than this, I don't know if it's going to work very well. So what you want to do is you want to line this up nice and straight, because you want to go right down the middle inside here. So you want to push it down in there. Keep it straight, very important. And you see how it's lined up? It's lined up with the very front here. Okay, now, keeping everything nice and straight, you want to lever this down to pop that top off. So hold it like this, and just pop it like that. Just a little bit is all you need to get it past those ears, and then pull it out. Your thumb over at the top, push that a little, pull that piece off. So here's what happened. When we push the punch in, we push the base plate out of place. This was sitting like this, and we forced it down like this. The punch was using this base plate now in this new position as leverage to get the bottom off. So if you do this wrong, now your magazine is not usable until you get that base plate off, because this is now out of place, and the only way to fix that is to open up the magazine. So do yourself a favor, get one of these if you can. Anyway, so that's the way to do it if you just have a punch. If you use this method and it doesn't work, take the pin out, put the magazine aside, order one of these, or take it to a Glock armorer before you screw up your magazine even further. We're just going to clean this magazine up. So you don't want to leave any oil inside the magazine. So we're going to use oil to clean it, because it is a CLP, and Glock does recommend using a CLP on the gun, so I assume they want you to use it on the magazine as well. So I am going to just clean up each piece. I'm going to put a little oil on every piece and just kind of spread it around. And this doesn't need much. Just use the brush. Just get everything clean, basically. I'm just going to wipe it down real good, clean it up, and then we're going to put it back together. Make sure you clean these lips, both sides of these lips, real good. You get a brush in there to do that. These notches need to be cleaned. These notches are what holds your magazine into the gun. Put a few drops. Again, you got to make sure you get all this out of here. Spread it inside the magazine. You want to make sure that we remove all the dirt from the inside of this magazine. After I clean it, force a rag through there a bunch of times to make sure I get all the dirt and oil out of there. You want to get all that oil out from inside of it. Alright, that's pretty good. Now I'm going to Make sure the outside is wiped off really well. Again, these feed lips are important. Clean the follower with some gun oil. Wipe it off really good. Make sure you get all the oil off the follower. Wipe down all your pieces here. For the spring, I would put 1 drop on a rag, but just wipe the spring down. And if you use oil, make sure you wipe that all off. Alright, once we have all the pieces cleaned up, now we're going to put it back together. So the follower goes on the spring this way. There's a couple of little lips down at the bottom here. So you want to make sure that snaps in. Make sure it's not coming off. Goes into the magazine this way. So just slide that in, make sure it looks right. This little notch should be in the front of the magazine. This is the back. Okay, and then flip it over. And I like to hold it this way because I'm going to use my thumb. Take the floor plate here and just lay that on the spring. And just kind of force it down in there so so it looks just like this. Okay, you're holding that spring pressure on there with your thumb. Make sure that's down below there. Take your base plate, line up the notches like that. Push the base plate down far enough to get this at least this far. It's going to run it up against those pins. Still holding this down, and just kind of press it on until you hear a little bit of a click. Alright, make sure everything's nice and square here, and then push it on. It should snap back in place like that. Alright, now it's back together. Test to make sure this goes down the right way. The other thing I always do after taking a magazine apart for any gun, I take some A-Zoom snap caps, dummy rounds. I put about 5 of them in here, 5 or 6, I lost count there. Then I'm going to take my verified unloaded Glock, put my dummy round magazine in there, drop the slide, make sure I have a round loaded. Now I'm just going to simulate firing the gun by racking the slide. Each time I rack the slide, a dummy round should be ejected from the gun, and when the magazine is empty, the slide should lock back. This is just simulating firing the gun to make sure the magazine is feeding properly, and also helps make sure the gun is extracting and ejecting properly. So you need to do this briskly. If you don't do it briskly, you're going to introduce a malfunction. Not the end of the world, but you just want to do it briskly. And then it should lock back on an empty magazine. Alright, and that's all there is to it. Do this for each magazine that you need to clean. And if you like this video, please hit like below. Please check out the description for dummy rounds and the tool that you're going to need. Also, I have links for the original gun oil down there. Help support the veterans. Thanks for watching.